What's up, y'all? And we are back with the light in the sky. We look a little different today. Waiting for my calls to pop on up and give us some of that good old down home great convo. So, what I like to do in the meantime is go over this season and give some general thoughts. Um, 4400. Robert and I are both discussing the 4400, the first series. For those of you who may not know, we are covering the first series. We are up to season three. I think we're like two episodes before the end of season three. This new season series reboot CW's 4400 came in right as we were getting ready to end season three. That was a good breaking off point. I'm very interested to see what happens when we return back to the original series. Um, those of you who have followed us, you already know, use the hashtag AL4400 and all that good stuff. For everyone else, the links will be in the show notes. Uh, we are almost at the end. We are extremely close to the end. One episode left to be exact. And this series has not, to my knowledge, been renewed for a season two. My issue with that is, regardless to how you feel about the show, I think that it is worthy of a second season, but more so the way that this season is ending. If you all watch Black Lightning, you understand that when seasons end and it's not necessarily prepared for, it's kind of odd. So even with this one, whether you like it or you don't, there's a lot of stuff that they have to do to wrap up all of the storylines in this season, with or without a season two. And that's all I gotta say about that.
Hmm.
What's up, Robert? What's
What's
up,
going
man?
on?
Not
What's going
much, not
on?
much. Just
Sorry
shooting
about
the you
shooting the
straight?
breeze.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Who? So, what's how we feeling, man? It's is it the
man,
penultimate episode? Is it
it
the
it's something. It is
yo?
something. General thoughts. I think I'm mentally probably tapped out. I'm
Mm,
sorry. Like
I mean,
I'm just trying to be real. You know, that's kind of. I think I said the same thing last week,
mm-hmm,
and we try to be honest, honest people on this podcast. And
mm-hmm.
um, I, I'm kind of, this is what we've been wanting. We've been like, what's going to happen at the end? And,
Yeah,
where's everything going? And we've been
yeah.
confused as to where everything's going. And
Mhm.
now that we know where it's going, I'm just kind of like, what? What's coming on next? So it just, so that's kind of general thoughts.
Yeah.
How about you? How are you feeling, generally speaking?
Much of the same.
Okay.
Excuse me. Much of the same. I am enjoying this. Okay, I love the show and I love the idea of the show.
Yeah.
I do think that it has its faults, and a lot of it isn't even the show. I think it's
Hmm.
the way that they're telling the story. Like the story is fine, but the way that you're like unrolling information
Yeah.
and having certain characters, it feels kind of haphazard to me.
Hmm.
So I'm in the same camp. I do
Yeah.
like it, but and this is such a weird thing to say. I think this last episode will give me a definitive yay or nay. And I know it's the end of the season, but
Hmm.
with everything that's leading up to this episode 13, yeah, I'm like, depending on how y'all stick the landing, that's going to determine if I am raving about this show or not.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
Good, man. I'm glad. I'm
Hey,
glad. I'm glad to hear that. So it's
look,
I I think that, and we've discussed, we'll jump into the episode, but I'm going to be very interested to hear our season kind of breakdown,
yeah,
about what's working and what's not. And because I agree with what you're saying as far as there's story beats that I'm cool with, I'm actually excited for,
yeah,
but the way that it's being presented
hmm,
is really kind of taking me out of it at times.
yeah,
And I don't like that. It's just like, especially for a property that we've been
Okay.
pretty hyped for.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I'm looking forward to us kind of talking about the season as a whole. But we can for this one, we can jump into it, jump on in.
Hey. Okay.
Um, I feel like I'm sounding like Cole when he came to Black Lightning, where like there'd be those episodes. Well, I mean, where the both of y'all would just come on, but I know Cole would be like,
Yeah. Yeah.
"Yo, how many episodes?" He's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. That's him.
yeah, that would be Cole. So, shout out to BKNY Radio.
Yes, radio.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
bro.
we can start with something, with the pro, with some pros. I actually was a fan of the opening of Mildred using her abilities
Mm,
and the revelation of what happened with what was happening with the Reverend with the
mm-hmm.
Rev. So that actually worked for me in terms of building up the
Yeah.
mystery of the episode. How
Mhm.
are you feeling about that?
I liked it too. I especially like where I think this is one thing that will work really well on a rewatch is
Hmm.
going from um Manny killing Rev or Manny stabbing Rev,
Hmm.
Logan running in, and then going immediately into the next episode, like on a marathon, watching it
Yeah,
straight through, and watching the other end of that event, of that incident. So it worked for me as well. Yeah.
yeah. How about you? What about another, something else that worked for you?
Um, Something that worked for me, honestly, Claudette. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Every single scene,
Hmm.
everything about Claudette worked for
Yeah.
me. Lady J official is her Twitter handle, and going through the tweeting back and forth thing, she mentioned that because I was raving, like the
Yeah.
scene where she threw the 44 on her back and was like, you know what, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
then when she was, with the freedom fighters, I'll call them,
Hmm.
and gave that speech to Steve, she's one of the characters on this show that, regardless to how I feel about when this show ends, I will
Hmm.
always have this love in my heart for that character.
Yeah.
And she said something, the actress, after I made this like long standing post, and she was like, it makes me feel good. I'm trying to find it because she apparently like put a lot of the work into Claudette and her dialogue.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I can see that. Not to say that anyone else's dialogue is terrible, but
Hmm.
like she stood out. She's a standout for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So,
I think she also has a background in theater.
okay, that
And yeah, I saw like there was an Instagram post that she put up where she's a part of a stage production or
okay,
or a
cool.
play or something.
Yeah.
And one of the things that she mentioned was something to the effect of like, this is, I don't know if she said something like, this is my first love, or this is like one
Mhm.
of my strongest passions.
Mhm.
So you can probably see her, that background with the acting, as far as somebody who comes from stage,
Yeah.
being like really in it. And
Mhm.
she is definitely one of the standout characters and actresses of this season. So
For sure.
I did like that she got her moment,
Mhm.
in the alleyway with confronting I can't even remember
44 'em. That
the
yeah.
40 forums. I was like, they gotta work on their branding. Because that's a weird, it's a
That
weird
yeah, that's
name.
a weird name. I was
They
like,
like they're named after the website. That's like means like we're the Googles and we're out here to kick
yes,
ass.
yes,
So like,
like weird.
but yeah, but no, definitely shout out to Team Claudette and the
Yes,
tear. We got to see the tear gas. We got to see the tear
yes,
gas come together.
yes.
But yeah, so as far as something else that for me that worked was um I the flashback actually
Mm,
was it worked for me.
okay.
There were, I think everything actually, I enjoy the, or prefer the acting of the sisters, or the moments that they
Oh,
had back in the
hmm,
past versus in the present, because when we'll get to the warehouse scene,
yeah.
but I think that uh, it worked for me as far as showing kind of a hippie commune, situation
Hmm.
was worked for me. But then also we got our boy. Now it wasn't Sean, but it was Caleb.
Right.
With the there's something about that that I was going to be on my con side, but I think
Okay.
his performance worked as far as being a well, I was going to say Jim Jones, but like
Mm,
this charismatic
yep.
cult leader.
Yeah.
It's like a commune that you were like, oh no, this is just a cult. This is just
Yes.
bad.
Yes.
So that was as far and then getting the introduction of her sister, I think that it worked.
Hmm.
Um, but also I love the fact that you put a hat on and it ages you down. It just
Yo,
like
she's 40. That is an adult.
right. Well, there's like the line where she said, when they saw her in
Yes.
I'll wait to give that name, where she's like, you look
Yeah.
so much older. And I
Yeah.
was like, she took her hat off. It's just like she took,
Yo,
yeah.
yes. Oh my
But
goodness.
I actually I like the flashback stuff,
Hmm.
and I think it kind of set. Well, no, let me say that. But I like the flashback. So how
Yeah.
anything about like that or the big?
I liked it. No, no, I really and honestly, I wish we could have. Okay, I don't want to turn this into a con, but I feel like those flashbacks should have happened like in episode 4. Those
We've been
early.
saying that. Yep.
Like if we
Hmm.
got those,
Hmm.
all of this probably I would be more forgiving.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, yes, I think Millicent, and I also think that they were really good. These were very effective because it was like what maybe 3 flashbacks in total, and they were really
Hmm.
quick, but they
Yeah.
told the story you needed to tell. I think if
Yeah.
you super cut them together, it might be 10 minutes. It
Yeah.
might be 10 minutes, but it was so effective.
Hmm.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed
Yeah.
it. Mhm.
The I think the guy's name is Patrick Fluger, or I always
Mhm.
mispronounce his name.
Yeah.
Were you hyped to see him back, or was it
No. No.
okay?
No,
Like
and I'm so mad because I I'm so married to the first series,
yeah,
and I know, and this is not it's not a bad thing because for me
yeah,
it's just like, man, I would have loved for a Sean type character, but
hmm,
then again, this is a reboot. It's like a whole nother alternate universe, so I can get over it. But I was like,
hmm,
man, I really wanted him to be this smooth guy in a nice suit,
hmm,
whether he be evil or good.
hmm,
Um, but I think what took this away for me personally was that I happened to log on to Instagram and saw behind the scenes footage of him, Autumn, who plays Mildred, and
hmm,
somebody else, and I was like, man, this it kind of it kind of takes away the impact for me because I was hoping the first time I saw him on screen would have been
hmm,
on screen, and so I'm happy he's
yeah,
there, but it didn't hit like I thought it would. It
yeah.
didn't.
Well, I mean, I can definitely understand that.
Yeah.
It I the thing that didn't work, and I'll just get into this.
Mhm.
They were trying to make him look like a Christ-like figure,
Mhm.
and this ain't the first time that the 4400 has done this, because
Mhm.
but it was the fake beard that kept pulling me out of it,
Yeah.
and it was, and I kind of I've accepted, the Messiah look when it comes
Mhm.
to dealing with somebody running an organization like this. Like I
Yeah.
said, that was Jordan,
Yeah.
in the
Mhm.
first iteration. And he literally had a picture where he was like, no, the
Yes.
graffiti. Like, who took the
Yes.
time to do that
Yes.
graffiti?
Mhm. That homeless
Jordan.
man. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So that it was like that was all right, but it was just like every time they kept showing that beard, I was like, I've seen this dude with a beard on Chicago PD. Like
Right.
it's like it ain't like a full thick,
Yeah.
whatever, but it's
Mhm.
enough where I was like, you still could have got the point across.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like I feel like the Tyler Perry wig of
Mhm.
School of Wigs
Mhm.
or Face
Yeah.
Prosthetics or whatever.
Yes.
It kind of draws you out, but
Yeah.
I still think that he did good with, like I said,
Oh,
just
no,
playing that
yeah.
role.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. Um, what else? What else? What else? Anything that
Yes.
worked or that didn't
Yes,
work?
yes, yes. For me,
Hmm.
Shanice and Andre and
Yeah.
Shanice and Logan.
Yeah.
Like I I was
Hmm.
like, I feel like we got back on track. Now this is
Yeah.
this is me. Now specifically Shanice and Andre.
Hmm.
I though they've got down and busy
Yeah.
before in that XXX episode,
Hmm.
this to me, and this is my nerd mind just working. The scenes that we get with them always give me Scott and Jean. It always gives
Hmm.
me Oliver and Dinah. It gives me this like leading man and leading lady,
Yeah.
and not even if you don't see them as that, it's just the way that they're positioned in the show and a
Hmm.
lot of their conversation. And it was
Yeah.
just like, damn, this is good. That worked
Hmm.
for me. So,
Yeah. That was one of my pros for this
mm,
episode because we were kind of concerned, or at least maybe I was more
yeah, no, I
concerned
was with you. Yeah.
about their kind of depiction of the relationship. I think we were saying that early on it seemed like
Mm,
there was more chemistry,
yeah.
with those early episodes.
Hmm.
The kind of the burgeoning relationship and the
Yep.
the love. And with this one, there's a part where first of all, let's say Andre was killing it in the
Ah,
cardigan sweater.
hey,
They should have had him like first episode, like just like
yes,
wearing that. But
yes.
um, there was I felt that her kind of breaking down and him trying to make some sense of what's going on, but then like with his scientific mind
Yep.
and all that, or his doctor's mind, and then circling back around to like, oh, I still got to help this woman because she's
Yes.
kind of dealing with some stuff. He was like, maybe they'll bring some Bunsen burners and just all this shit. And she's like looking at him like he's like, oh, okay, relationship. It worked
Yeah.
because he's so Andre with it,
Yes. Yes.
and I these were scenes that I enjoyed, seeing the two of them, and it's
Hmm.
like if I haven't, well, I don't want to say I haven't felt that connection since earlier in the season, but I felt that these were scenes that work better than we've seen on like the
Yeah,
midpoint.
I agree.
So,
I
and
agree.
and somebody may say like, no, the midpoint scenes work, but either way, I
Hmm.
think that the two of them, like I said, we get a second season. It'd be
Hmm.
nice to see that kind of develop, more.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I love seeing her kind of grappling with the abilities and not like her line of like, I just, she had just got some sense of normalcy for
Yes.
as much as normal could be had in the
Hmm.
Bellagio Bel Air hotel or whatever you want to call it. But
Yeah.
but I like within that same line, she's acknowledging like this is some weird shit,
Yeah.
but
Hmm.
I was doing good,
Yeah.
until somebody shivved the rev and he
Like,
disappeared.
here I am again. So,
Yeah,
oh yeah.
yeah. Before I forget, I actually, and the other part that I actually liked, this is weird to
Hmm.
say, I like Logan being traumatized by what happened.
Yes. No,
Like,
really. Yeah.
yeah, at least him walking in because like I sometimes in these shows people walk in, they see a body and then they're like, oh man, I'm shaken up, and then they move on to like kick the door in and be like, let's fight. Um,
Yeah.
he was shook. Like
Yeah.
Logan was like, I came back and there wasn't a body, which I thought I
Yeah.
just saw, and it's like a good bit of the episode is people trying to say, hey, you okay? You
Yes.
just
Yes.
good.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
for some weird reason, that just worked for me.
I like it too, and I honestly, when it first happened in the last
Hmm.
episode, I was like, but
Hmm.
now this being the person who is a human who does
Yeah.
not
Hmm.
have the intimate history like Keisha and Jarrell does, I think that was the best choice was to make him find the body. That worked for me. Chef's kiss. Hmm.
Right. So
Yes.
anything else work for you?
Um. Yeah, him and Shanice, like they really,
Them too. Okay.
when I
Yeah.
look at certain storylines, like from the beginning to the end, I feel that there was an evolution there, or there is an evolution there. And
Hmm.
like when they were on the bed together, she was like, hey, I got a team scouring. Which team? That's my con. Which is like, I got a team scouring the hotel, this and that. And he's like, oh, I just, I want to go see Mariah. I want to go home. It's like that.
Hmm.
I don't know. With all their history, that scene was like one of the better scenes for me as well.
Right.
Even with Keisha busting, talking about, you got to stay, nigga. You can't go nowhere. But I enjoyed them too. And I'm interested to watch the previous episode and this one back to back, more so
Okay.
than anything else, because it feels like that classic two-parter.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I enjoyed them. I enjoyed them too.
Gotcha. Um, I'm just I so on the opposite end of things, because I'm kind of proed out. And I'm being real. I and like I said, if you got more pros, we can definitely kind of tackle those. But one of the things that kind of stood out to me, and it's just I don't know what's happening with this character, was Hayden.
Hate it. Yep, I knew it.
Um, from the opening scene where he was me mugging Mildred to the last scene where he was dodging the CG glass.
Mm,
It just I there was nothing in the episode that made me want this want to see more with him.
right.
I It's a weird what route to take him.
Hmm.
Um, when he was accusing her of other room murder,
Yeah.
he was like she was like, I don't even do that. He was like, you don't know.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, we don't know that. He is weird. It's a
Yes, he is.
weird turn. Like, what what was your vibe
I
with this
hated
guy?
him
Yeah.
honestly, and because to me it's one of two things. Either he's selfish because now you got this wonderful happy life with
Yeah.
Logan and his family. You don't want anything to take that away, but
Hmm.
like, or you're untrustworthy because now
Hmm.
this friend that you were ride or dying for the actually every episode of the series, you
Yeah.
so quick to turn on her. Duh, she did something terrible, but like
Hmm.
you also damn near threw Andre through a wall to get
Right.
her to get the like. So let's not act like. Also, you're the only person with intimate knowledge of, or at least tangential, adjacent knowledge of Mildred's
Hmm.
sister. So it would
Yeah.
make sense. I was like, why are you taking this character in this direction? And then
Hmm.
added Ji-un, waterhead ass. Did nobody ask her nothing?
She was
I'm
like,
sick of her. I'm sick of her.
I'm like, she must have got a really good handle on the telekinesis to like drag the knife and not even be able to have. You have to have a line of sight
Yes,
with.
that has always been the case.
Exactly. If anything we know from X-Men 1992, before Jean Grey would pass out, she would have to have a line of sight to use her psi abilities,
Yo,
it's like her telekinetic abilities, or
hey,
to
yes.
do that. Nobody is like, you can't do that. And it was just like some stupid shit. Yeah, I forgot June. Yoon said something about it
I
too.
hate her, bro.
Um, they instigating asses
Yeah,
at her wedding. She was probably
right.
upset that they
So,
had to cut the Anita Baker off at the wedding. This
where was Harold? Harold wasn't in there to
Hero
fight
was
it.
gone.
Harold left.
Hero got ghost. They said that first of all, that actor was like, "Well, I can't show up this day for
Yeah.
this scene," or maybe the budget wasn't there. But then, in my mind, he was just like, "No, that
Yes.
I saw that girl with the red hair, and now there's
Yes.
a body. Let's
Yes.
go."
Yeah.
Jiyun was like, "I live here. I can't."
He
We
like,
were supposed to
hey,
move out tonight. Now
yo.
the racists have appeared overnight, surrounding the building.
Oh my God.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh God. So what either worked or didn't work for you?
I really, really hated Hayden. I
Mm,
really did. I hated the direction and I hated him specific. Well, not hate, that's a strong word. I really didn't like him because his visions have been wrong before and he's been there with
hmm.
wrong visions.
Yeah.
So that I just to beat that dead dog, I hated that.
Hmm.
Um, okay, this is what worked and did not work at the same time.
Okay.
Millicent and Caleb.
Hmm.
I okay, Millicent to me was making some points. I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
sorry. I was like, oh yeah, she's the villain, but like also like half of like 60% of what she was saying, I was like, nah, yeah, she kind of got a point.
Hmm.
40%, I'm like, you're in the cult. But like,
Hmm.
so I was very much having this like cognitive dissonance. Like, oh, am
Yeah.
I am I in this cult? Do I believe? But like her that's one thing I think worked well with the show, but could have
Hmm.
been better had you have set up this storyline
Hmm.
sooner. But I was like, yeah, she kind of making some points, Mildred. Like,
Are
yeah,
you talking about before or after the
actually both,
abduction?
both, because
Okay.
I think
Okay.
in the past, um, I was like, oh, y'all don't make me hate Mildred because of her, when she went in and snitched on her, and then they got taken back to the commune. Because I was like,
Hmm.
even though your children, because what were they like 16 and 18 or 30, whatever.
Yeah, yeah, it's probably 16 and 18 or
And
15 and 18, whatever.
I get the like cultish nature where it's like I'm
Yeah.
devoted to this one religion or this one thing, but I was
Hmm.
like, this is your sister. Like, how do you rat on your like that? To me, that was so. And of course, I've never been in this situation. There may be some people who
Yeah.
are, have escaped these cultish like situations, and you're like, oh, this is what I live and breathe. But I was like, man, this is
Hmm.
your blood sister, same parents,
Yeah.
and why won't you just let her leave if you were going to turn on her? And I was like, Mildred, I couldn't see myself doing that.
Yeah, I mean, and it kind of, I think their whole point with that was definitely the roles are reversed.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
we get to the future. Mildred is more the woke one, throwing people out
Hmm.
of windows. Um,
Yeah.
and but see, we don't know what Mil. And see, that's the thing. Like, I was kind of that's one of the things that was kind of weird for me about that scene where,
Hmm.
um, and sometimes it just wasn't working. Where she was saying, Millicent
Hmm.
was, she'd be like, no, we want to take care of you. We not, it's something like to that effect, like we want to
Hmm.
help y'all.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, but y'all are going about it the wrong damn way.
And you know it.
That's
Mhm.
like saying like, hey, I want to hug you, and then like I crack your ribs with like
Yes.
all the force. I'm like, I'm showing you affection,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I'm like killing you. So
Mhm.
they have, so with building up a website,
Mhm.
I call it a Geocities web form. Just like,
Yeah.
building up this website, building up this movement,
Mhm.
um, steady. They're driving packs of people in vans to where they live, to and as we see in the trailer, to run riot. So it's just like, it's the worst way to to be
Mhm.
like, I want to help y'all. I mean,
Yeah.
y'all are the ones that are, you know, lost or something like that. So
Mhm.
it was this weird thing where I know the suggestion was is what they were going for was like the sister is the one that seems to have joined the cult, and
Yeah.
she's the one that's drunk the Kool-Aid and all of that. But
Mhm.
it just, I y'all's, once again, branding.
Hey.
Branding or messaging is like
Yes.
the
It's
worst.
weird. Yes.
So that's why it was kind of weirded out. The other thing was when Mildred in that scene, it was, to
Mhm.
me, it was strange because it looked like she was like cry smiling when they were going back and forth with, and I didn't know if she was like laughing at her at times. For me,
Mm.
it was weird.
Yeah.
But that's why that scene wasn't as effective.
Yeah.
I don't mind the roles being reversed,
Right.
but what she's going for is like, no, y'all aren't doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I mean, that's like went
It
long
was
winded.
terrible. It was terrible. It was terrible. It was like
Well,
it was very bad.
well, the thing is like, I don't want to discount what you were saying as far as like,
Yeah.
60%, 40%, as far as
Mhm.
like being there with her.
Right. Right. Right.
It was just for some reason it just wasn't driving as much because with me,
Mhm.
especially when you haven't established that, because there's a way that you can be, and we've seen this.
Mhm.
There's outreach pe- by less than reputable groups of people to
Mhm.
try to be
Mhm.
like, oh, we're doing good. Like,
Yep.
hey, they don't ride around with well, I mean, they probably do, but the
But it's more discreet. Yeah.
exactly, polo, they're wearing polos and, not
Yeah.
the pointy white hats, but they're wearing polos and khakis.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, there's none. I didn't see no polo shirts or khakis at all
Yeah.
in
That's
Racist
ugh.
Alley.
They
And
could call it what it is. Yeah.
let's talk about Racist Alley. Um, y'all are in
Yeah.
Chicago, and I'm not saying that Chicago does not have. Um, First of all, the cops are dropping the ball on letting people just kind of occupy this area,
Hey.
but I just my nickname for this place was Racist Alley because
Mhm.
whenever they went there, well, actually Racist and Rock Music Alley, because
Which
whenever they went down the alleyway, it was like dun, 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 dun,
yes.
dun, dun, and it was just like, oh, okay, so I'm supposed to this is okay. This is are they just playing this in the alley?
It had to.
Yeah, it was a weird musical cue, and um that it and it wasn't like the cartoony thing, but I my belief my I was starting to like this whole thing of my mind was like starting to wander
Yeah,
every time they went down this
I
alley.
hated it.
Um yeah, so what else worked for you or didn't?
That
But
sucked, all of it,
okay.
because one, LaDonna, you can turn into people. Why didn't you turn into a white
Okay.
man? How weird is that? That your black 25-year-old ass is just wearing a hood. I was like, can you
Right.
like what? What is happening? Additionally, the whole I don't like the villains. I don't like the 44
Yeah.
because I feel like this is not. I get the shorthand like these represent bad, but
Hmm.
there is no, which I don't want to say no nuance. There is no.
No,
It's
you.
weird that you're beating me over the head with evil
Hmm.
white person,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, you get that with Bill Green, you get that with the security guards, you get that with the 44, you get that with the guy at the
Hmm.
bar, you get that with the guy who worked at the bar. It's
Hmm.
just like I understand that and I get what you're going for, but at
Hmm.
some point it feels excessive. Like,
Hmm.
can we not get, and not to say that, oh, black people need to be evil too? No, but it's like there are, much like Steve, I
Hmm.
feel like if you had to let him stand in his hatred because of his cultural um stance about the stuff that his family went through. To
Hmm.
me, though, I didn't like that. I didn't like it not for the story. I didn't like it because I'm like, damn, that's fucked up. It
Yeah.
worked, and seeing all it's weird to me. It feels like it just feels like you didn't. I ain't gonna say you didn't try, but you could have done other things. Like the villains, as many powers and power sets you got of all the
Hmm.
4400, you should have had 3 or 4 factions of people who hate the 4400, because
Right.
this was like, okay, well,
Yeah. I
evil,
well, I mean, you say the Spike Lee racist sometimes.
yeah, despicably
Um,
racist, yes.
there, it's and it's funny because like I think last episode we were kind of well, whatever episode with Tuvok. Sorry, the
Yes,
I keep calling him Tuvok. Whatever her father was,
Ladonna,
and then
yeah,
we had the van of the races,
yeah.
driving up and like we gonna kill them iguanas and all this shit, and we were
Mhm.
like we are kind of okay with that, which is weird. But when I keep thinking of like what do you call it, Crime Alley, where
Mhm.
Batman's parents were killed. I just think like
Mhm.
racist alley. It's just like you just toss all the races
Right,
in
right.
this one area. For
Mhm.
me, that whole sequence or those scenes put together from the point where LaDonna and Mildred were hiding behind a trash can in broad daylight,
Which was weird.
within view. It was the execution for me didn't work. That
Yeah.
was the thing. Like the execution was weird because I had the same questions as you. She's a black woman with a hoodie walking down this walking down racist alley, and then you
Yes.
have the poster child on,
Yes.
and I think but I know the reason why they will say that, the reason they um I'm trying to think. The reason nobody stepped to them was because they wanted them to show up. That I understand because they gave her the Claudette
Yeah.
got the envelope with the twine or the whatever,
The
the
bracelet.
wrist
Yeah.
thing or the
Mhm.
bracelet. But it was one of those things where why didn't LaDonna like even attempt to turn into that was my thing. Like that was my thing. Like we've already established that she's done this before. They could have brought that same actor
That
back, but it
same.
was
Yep.
just
That same
right.
guy.
And maybe we could have like let go of the whole thing of like I mean he could have actually that actually could have been a weird thing where
Yes.
he's bringing her
Uh-huh.
Mildred, LaDonna is bringing Mildred as
Yeah.
if he's captured them. And then you
Mhm.
could still have the scene play out the same way where her sister walks up and then the
Mhm.
big reveal is like, oh, we wanted y'all to be there. But for
Yes.
them just walking down the alleyway, like, just tucking,
Yes.
it was a really weird, it just, the execution just wasn't working. So I, like I said, it wasn't kind of a big, big fan. I'm not kind of, I wasn't a big fan of that.
Yeah.
Um, the What did I put down? I said Steve is a problem.
Yeah.
Um, you
Scary ass.
without I don't know. We kind of probably beat that to a horse to death, but
Well, he need to get beat some more.
I don't know. It's just like the deliver. Nah, I wasn't feeling him. Like he was in Hayden
Hmm.
status for me.
Right.
And then tried to get his redemption arc by saying that like stating the obvious, like, yo, they're gonna attack the Bellagio, but from the way that I think it was he said that or they were coming to I
To
think that's
Claudette's.
to Claudette's. Either
Hmm.
way, that's what it was. He was telling them about that she got reported to the 4400 line or whatever.
Hmm. For a black
Um,
site.
yeah, the black, and then she made the joke about the black site. So,
Hmm.
um, what else would was working a job not jiving with for you?
Which I'm so pissed. I like Claudette's homies. That boy that could see through walls. I was
Yeah,
like, man,
yeah,
what's up? Like, but the thing that kind of made me mad is that I don't know, knowing that this season is about to end and we don't have a season two
hmm
yet, or maybe at all. I
yeah,
don't know if you're setting up the things where 4400 from other facilities. Like, what is the setup here? Either way, I enjoyed them,
hmm
but it was just like, bro, where are we going from here? So
yeah.
I liked him, but I didn't like thi- this.
The the best part about this scene was I really wanted to see what he was going to do with that knife because when Steve walked in, he had the knife like this or whatever,
Hey, yeah.
and everyone else had guns, and I was like, oh, yeah, he's about to do some shit with this knife.
Look,
Yeah,
yeah, no, I'm with you. He got to be skilled or something.
yeah. Well, and then also and that's another thing. How far back did He's from the 1860s. He fought
And
in
he's
the
just
Civil
cool.
War.
And he's
Yeah,
just cool.
he's
Just
just like
regular.
he's yeah. It was like I think he's got more accustomed to like life here than Andre has. Andre still sounds
Yo.
like he about to like not millywop. Like he's about to
Yeah.
whatever the Charleston.
Flapper
Like he
dance.
sound
Yeah, that.
shit like that. And there was no hint of
Mm.
somebody from the 1860s in his voice. He just let that casually drop. He was like, "Oh yeah, I was there." I said, "Antietam." My
Yo.
wife was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Antietam." He was fucking at Antietam. He
Man,
was.
say.
They probably disappeared his ass on the battlefield, and he was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, the Negro was flying."
And that's
Um, it's just
yo.
something like. I hope
That's
that
what I'm saying.
happened.
Like how no, but I'm with you. I'm like, how did him and Claudette get along? Because like race relations weren't great back then. So
Right.
like you know, so yeah,
Yeah. No, yeah, no, I do like the introduction. I think who I think is gonna come back and you're gonna be irritated. It's
okay.
gonna be your lady from
That white lady with
episode 2 or 3. Yeah.
oh,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah, yeah. She the one
Yo,
that
what if
popped
she
up.
the lady in the car? What if she the lady in the
No,
car?
I don't think
Yeah,
she
okay, okay.
I
Look,
don't
look at me. I'm like, what if she's Reverend Son? No, yo,
That'd be great. And then she starts talking like the Peanuts character. There, we
bro.
could talk about that. So
Yeah,
Shanice, forgive me,
bruh.
I put down a note. I said so Shanice can see memories from different camera angles. she because when she stepped out and then like you see the green light in the
Yeah,
background, I was just like, I guess, I mean, whatever. Yeah,
yeah,
it was weird.
yeah,
There's no, the thing I was gonna say was so I love that Dr. Andre was like, and this is not a criticism, this is just something that made me laugh. He was like, I gotta science this up. I gotta figure out what's going on.
yeah,
And Shanice was like, and there are bad guys out. I mean, there are people out there that want to beat you, for
yeah,
any number of reasons. And Dr. Andre was just like, I'm still gonna go get this equipment. So the thing is that he left before
yes,
the attack. And I don't know if that was a good look for him because I know it progresses the story, but
yeah,
it's just like if they are circling this hotel the way that they keep suggesting,
yeah,
they never show any group shots outside.
right.
We always have this assumption that there are people standing at the door. Actually, I
Hmm.
mean, and then that's what happens. But
Yeah,
the thing I love is that this dude is just like, you know what, I gotta get some answers. Shanita, you're gonna be fine, right? And then he just goes.
like,
He just goes.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I mean, and he's like, I can take care of myself. I was in the war. Um, I would have loved to have seen a fight scene with him, just
Oh
like
God, yes,
because it,
yes.
it was a bunch of like races running in. I mean, just kind of
Hmm.
running past him, and then he was like, "Ooh," hiding himself, and then you hear the voice from the SUV. She was like, and that was the other part of that was weird to me was that this
Yeah.
organization was they were going to send somebody to assess the security situation, but I'm just like, once again, y'all know this has been building up for weeks. You know this has been building up for weeks, so why not just send somebody there to
Yes.
do it? No, they
Yes.
just SUV just went right on by. It's like, well, they might burn this place down, but is at least Dr. Andre is gone. But
Which is, yeah. He he's the one person they need if somebody storms it. Like you can
exactly.
take their pain and give it to another person. Like
Yes,
you are the
right.
most effective, like even more so than Claudette. Like Claudette, if she
Hmm.
can fight, she's great. But like
Yeah,
you are the key. There could be so many dead
exactly.
bodies.
Like, I don't
Yeah.
know if this is a moment to be like, yo, let's just dip out stage left, or exit stage left. But
Yeah.
what about you? What else worked out and worked for
He's
you?
terrible. I would say he's terrible. LaDonna mentioned the possibility, and I don't know if this was just her saying this because of the plan that the 40 Forum made the episode before, but she was like, "Yes, some of the 40 Forum could have snuck in and taken Rev's body." Now we saw the green light, so I'm assuming Miguel or I don't know Jorge, whatever, Manny is the one
Manny.
who yes, Miguel, good lord, is the one who like green lighted him away. But then I'm like, but y'all
Yeah.
also did set up the idea that there are 40 Forum who have infiltrated 4,400 facilities. So is she right? Like that's not a throwaway line you just throw in there
Mm,
after establishing that
yeah.
this is what these people were doing. Like that's how she got here. Like it was I don't know, man. I didn't like that at all because that's not something you can't. I don't know. I didn't like that.
I mean, have they followed up on that as of yet? Because in the last episode,
No.
they haven't followed up on that. They established like heard rumors that they're in here, and I was like,
Hmm.
maybe that's all it is. Maybe it's just a rumor to keep people paranoid. But
Mm.
I mean, are you going to be not satisfied if there's no payoff in the next episode where you don't like you see your woman, you see the woman from the second or third episode, and she's like racism, and then she's just like running with like
Yo,
spatulas or some shit.
yes. Oh my
Um,
God, with a chessboard.
if she is the double agent who is the 4-4, that will be the greatest call. That would be one of the
I won't
best
even be
callbacks.
mad. I promise you, I won't be mad. I'm gonna just be like, you know what, y'all got me, because I was not
Yep.
expecting that.
She ain't
Yeah,
had no apperances in the
at
series
all,
outside of that
at
one.
all.
Like, hey, Hayden, happy birthday. And we're just like, who is it? What is the
Who are
importance of
you?
this?
That's not even that's not even a white lady. When you look at all the marketing and promotional material, there was a white lady who was like from the 50s, I think,
With the
with the like
glasses?
big hat. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
that's not
yeah.
even her. Like,
No,
why didn't she? Why did you not use that lady? That would have
I don't,
been a better.
but it made sense. And where's
Yo,
Noah? We
I
one
mean,
episode.
is Noah dead?
Noah's
Like,
gone.
also, where's the Caribbean guy who could start fires? Like, where is he at?
I don't know. Maybe they'll just like run through the back door and be like, "We're gonna help y'all fight," and I'm
Like,
just like,
mm,
okay. Um, the I'm asked about the I said Andre leaving before
mhm,
Ish goes sideways. Um, why? So the last scene, Ladonna and that guy, them flirting was like, okay, this is what it is. But
mhm.
this is about to get serious. Like
Yes.
half of these people probably about to die because we don't know what their abilities are. Nobody's established any offensive abilities outside
Mm.
of Mildred. I think the only people that are gonna be great are Mildred and Ladonna because Ladonna is essentially Wolverine and Mildred is
No, you Claudette.
not Ladonna, Mildred.
Uh,
I'm sorry, Claudette.
okay,
Claudette is
good.
Wolverine. Yeah, Claudette is Wolverine because I was thinking about her, flirting with
Yeah.
the Union soldier,
Mhm.
and and the Mildred is the telekinetic. So
Yeah.
we have, and then you have the I don't know if he's Haitian or whatever. The Caribbean, the guy with the accent who
Mhm.
has he's a pyrokinetic,
Mhm.
and Yeah, nobody really has any abilities. I mean, the thing is, she can glow,
Um,
so somebody might run in and go like, "Oh shit," and then she could punch him. But I just nobody, they have not established the anybody with offensive abilities that can, like,
mm,
go, fight a rising tide. So it was
yeah.
weird that it was weird seeing them flirt when half these people probably gonna die. And the
Yes.
other thing is like everybody saying, like, Claudette, I think, is used to living this life because she
Hmm.
has been kind of raised in the movement. LaDonna, I think, should have been like a bit more nervous instead of flirting,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
it's about to be a full blown on
Yeah.
massacre. And then, but the other people I can understand because they've been training for this. But it just seemed like nobody was like, everybody's like, yo, let's ride. And I was like, I need to see some like fractured
Yeah.
emotions in this shit.
Yeah.
But
No.
it just seemed very casual, them sitting in the alleyway.
Yeah.
And yeah, so what were you about to say?
No, I'm with you. A few things. I think LaDonna could be good if you do get someone, if they orchestrate this in a way that's very much like comic book focused, because no one
Hmm.
knows what her powers is. So if
Yeah.
I can, and they establish, which I hate this, but maybe it was for the final episode, but they've established that she can cast images onto other people. So if
Got
I'm
you. Okay.
fighting, a
That's actually
horde
good.
of
Yeah.
villains, if I can make your neighbor look like a 4400, then y'all tussling. But I think it's kind of cheap, like you said, that you bring in all of Claudette's folks who are nameless
Hmm.
people to like
Hmm.
do the brute work when you could have established, like, the fact that Claudette was going to this training camp over and over. Hayden could be so effective if he could foresee the moves that somebody's about to
Hmm.
make, but also had that training. So yeah, I don't know that this. I, Mildred busted in like, I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna keep like that's cool.
Yeah.
But like, I'm with you.
Hmm.
Who gonna help us?
Right. And I don't know. I mean, like, it's so I don't think we're gonna get like an end game, type of fight,
Oh,
like a
right.
big ass battle, where you see like different people in the background like fighting each
Hmm.
other. And um it just, I don't know what to expect with next week. I know it's going to be like a bunch of revelations. One of the revelations is going to be something that we knew of from the previous series.
Oh, for sure. And yeah, I
And
slipped up
yeah,
and said it.
yeah.
Oh.
And no, you're fine. You're fine. I mean, Manny essentially said it.
No, I'm
Like he
saying
said,
like when I was tweeting, because it was like maybe
oh,
2 or 3
okay,
episodes ago, and people was like, "Oh, you
okay,
crazy? What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Well, is this not clear?" But I was like, "Well,
yeah.
maybe y'all haven't seen the first series." But
Right. And quiet as it's kept. I mean, the show is quiet as it's kept. I mean, like, nobody, it wasn't like a lot of people. That's like me running around saying, like, hey, have you seen Sliders? Like, nobody remembers that shit. It's
yeah,
just like, I love it, but it wasn't like one of the widely known, like, you know, did you grow up with Sliders or Star Trek: The Next Generation? And like
right.
most people were like, okay, I would watch, Star Trek: Next Generation when it
Hmm.
was on. I saw Geordie LaForge with the visors and
Yep.
whatever, Captain Picard and whatever. But
Hmm.
Sliders, I'm like Rembrandt Brown, Quinn Mallory, Wade Wells, the Professor Arturo, and everybody's like, okay, nerd.
Hmm. Who?
Yeah, so um but
Yeah.
4400 was kind of one of those shows, even though it ran for 4 seasons.
Hmm.
I think it's something that a lot of people don't know about. So I think you can get away with saying like, yo,
Hmm.
da 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 about this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
because this is new to a lot of people.
Hmm.
There The other thing that kind of got me was them walking in. Everybody was strapped like with guns, even
Bro.
Mildred. And
Like,
and I'm like, but aren't you the telekinetic? And it's just
hey,
like,
hey.
and I guess you gotta like keep one on you just in case. And they haven't even established what the abilities are for the other three people. So to be
Yo.
honest, they may not have abilities. They may just be like, my ability is pulling the trigger
Yeah.
rapidly. Um, because like, have you ever seen
Yo.
did you see January 6th? Like they looked at footage of like, oh shit, this happened, this
Yeah.
is whatever. So
Hmm.
um yeah, that was just weird, like seeing her with the gun, and she was leading the charge like
And can she even use this gun? Mildred is a small girl. Like,
yeah,
does
like
this gun have kickback?
the
Like,
the kickback is going to be like insane.
she gonna kill
um
everybody.
Exactly. She's just gonna spray the room, and that's the scene.
Yo,
And then the credits roll. I'm like Shyamalan is gonna show up and say, "Hey, the twist. We got the twist."
yo,
Um,
yeah.
Claudette gonna be the only one that's gonna be okay.
No, that's it.
And then
That's
Andre
it.
comes back inside and is like, "Oh, pray tell, I need to leave."
No,
Um,
for real. Ugh.
yeah.
Yeah.
What else worked or didn't work for you?
Okay. Mal- Maleficent, Millicent. I think she's a necromancer. So I
Okay.
feel, and I could be wrong, but I kind of talked through this on Twitter on my like talk myself through it.
Hmm.
The first thing she says when she shows up on screen, she has the chicken in her hand. She's like, "Oh, poor chicken, blah, whatever. I wish I could bring it back to life." And then
Hmm.
Mildred was like, "Oh, that'd be weird." And it was like, "Oh, people are gonna call us freaks and all this, that, and the third." But I was like, that has to be some kind of foreshadowing. If that is
Yeah.
the case, then I will feel better about Rev's body being missing because I'm thinking if she's the necromancer, she probably has his body and brings him back to life. Now, this could be me wishful thinking and my
Hmm.
nerd brain and overactive imagination, but I'm thinking because of the first words out of her mouth were in reference to bringing something back to life, and we do not know
Hmm.
what her power is. There was a girl online, I forget her name, but she says, "Oh well, maybe she can persuade people because Steve was,
Yeah.
oh I
Yeah.
was whatever." I said, but my thing is when I look at this show, I look at budget. Everything
Hmm.
I mentioned and everything that girl mentioned is pretty low budget as far as
Yeah.
special effects and powers. So if she can bring people back to life, or she can persuade you to do whatever, both low budget. But I just think that she's gonna bring people back to life. I think that's, I don't know. That's my
She.
prediction.
Oh, I mean, yeah, no, Cole's crazy prediction, Rain's crazy prediction. Um, is I'm kind of on the same, you know, I guess path as you.
Hmm.
Um, the because one of the questions that I had was when she and Mildred were talking, why didn't Mildred use her abilities
Hmm.
at any time? Like they
Hmm.
didn't, or the and I don't I wonder if the writers were like, well, let's just have her not use her abilities because she
Hmm.
wants to reestablish her connection or talk with her
Hmm.
sister, her long lost sister, and all of that. Um, but in my mind, I started thinking like maybe she can negate abilities without
Mm.
touching a person,
Mm.
because I was, that's what and maybe that was part of the reason why they didn't use their abilities because
Perhaps, yeah.
she couldn't negate it. But then you're doubling up on somebody who can take away
Right.
your
Hmm.
abilities. The only
Hmm.
difference being is that one person can touch you, the other person can't.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that she has some type of abilities. Um, but and maybe that would explain why Mildred just didn't backflip her into a window or something.
Right. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I think the my thing is so my note is big reveal. I didn't care.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just kind of I'm this is kind of where I'm at.
Yo.
Mildred's quote unquote invasion, the recreation of January 6th,
Hmm.
with that going on, and then Manny's reveal of traveling from the future.
Yeah.
I think that was part of what I was talking about before. It was just
Hmm.
everything right now is seeming a little anticlimactic, and I
Yes.
think it's because of how we kind of got here.
Hmm.
Um, and and there have been, yeah, it's just based on how we got here.
Hmm.
I'm definitely down for them tackling something as serious because as serious as the insurrection, at
Hmm.
the Capitol insurrection, but
Hmm.
and the parallels that they're drawing with that, but it it I I'm not really vibing with how we've got here, or how it's going to happen, or
Hmm.
how it's because my concern is next week it
Yeah.
happens, and then I'm just like, oh, okay, like that is no, I just didn't really feel anything significant from that. And
Yeah.
Manny's reveal about the future, not because we kind of knew this is possibly where it was going.
Hmm.
Um, it's just like, okay,
So what?
like, so
What
what?
does it
Yeah,
matter?
like. Yeah, it was I don't know. I mean, how about you? Like with it, I guess those three
Everything was
points
wrong.
are
All of it was
okay.
terrible. So for me, I think it's all about where you place a lot of this.
Hmm.
Specifically dealing with Manny. You're from the future, fine, but that should have been established a few episodes ago. Like I feel
Hmm.
like because telling me now that's fine, but what does that mean for me? You're not saying there's a war coming in 2062.
Hmm.
You're not like it's I don't know. It didn't land for me.
Yeah.
Because the time and space stuff, I guess that kind of gave you some foreshadowing, but
Hmm.
so what? Like, why does it matter? Like, you're coming back to 2021 to deal with all
Hmm.
of this mess, but you're not doing. Manny hasn't done anything. Like
You
we see
stabbed
him
the
in front,
Reverend.
but even that was only
Yeah.
because he took your powers. It's not because like you were
Yeah.
plotting on him because you
Hmm.
knew. Like, why wasn't Manny just killing people all throughout the season? And then the reveal was that he could be invisible, or something like that's future space stuff or whatever.
Hmm.
It's fine. Maybe it'll be fleshed out more in this final episode. But I was
Hmm.
like, mm, okay, Manny. Well, you also like drove Jarrell insane for the first 9 episodes, so
Right.
I do not care. So
Yeah.
and you're thwarted by some handcuffs. You're from 2062.
62.
There's no way you should be in these handcuffs. You should be beating Keisha's ass and Jarrell's. Um, I wasn't a fan. Um, Millicent again. I think
Hmm.
it's just about where this story landed
Hmm.
because I do not care. I do not care about her, but I
Hmm.
could have had this story
Yep.
started earlier. It's
Hmm.
like they had all the pieces, but maybe there's some stuff that was left on the cutting room floor, or maybe they
Hmm.
thought, hey, if we give it to me, the fact that after MC Man, she was like, "Oh, you think I'll ever find her?" That was like, who the hell are you talking about, Mildred?
Right.
Why is this our first time hearing about this person?
They said ish about her before
Like,
yeah.
mm, mm,
And that
weird.
whole like off screen thing where she's like, I saw them wheel you down the hallway, or I saw them take you to into the room, and I was like,
Mhm.
when did this shit happen?
That's what
Like,
I'm saying.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
and I understand if it's like, oh, COVID, maybe you
hmm,
hadn't cast this actor yet, or what. Like, I get that, but you can't just explain stuff away with exposition. You can't just say this is what because you could have very well got a random white girl with long hair and just shot all those scenes from the back. We didn't
yeah,
have to see her face. Um, there's a lot to love about this show, and there's a lot that's just like I wonder what's going on behind the scenes because this isn't working.
yeah,
Additionally, Noah, like to bring him back up for a second. Why? What is the point of having him here?
hmm,
You mentioned like who's good on the front lines. You get this man a microphone or megaphone, and he's
yeah,
wiping out the whole.
yeah.
Like it's. I'm not happy with a lot
Yeah.
of this. So
Well, it's going to be interesting. Well, like next episode, next week is the season finale.
yeah,
If and when we jump back onto finishing up the original series
yeah,
and just kind of seeing where that left off at,
hmm
I'd be pretty interesting to, and that won't be fair because like at that point that's like multiple seasons, like a
yeah,
series finale
yeah.
compared to the season finale for this. Now, if
hmm
we'll do that next week. If we compare the season finale for this one and the original,
hmm
that could be a part of the breakdown of the
hmm
season breakdown. But yeah, with Manny, I think the suggestion that they gave is that he came back to the future and started to try to build a resistance movement.
Okay,
So
poorly.
yeah, and that's kind of like okay, we see that with one scene of him stabbing her under a bridge, and then I'm just giving examples. We see that
hmm
with that scene, and then we she gives the explanation that she spent at least a month, at this doing this
Underground railroad. Hmm
underground, but like it's not. I don't think like you need to dedicate an entire episode to being like this is a resistance, but
Yeah.
that's basically what he did. He came back. That was his whole thing with
hmm
coming back to the past, because
Hmm.
apparently whatever happens to the 4400, and that's going to be another thing that I'm wondering, why were
Yeah.
they all abducted in the first place? Like the
Hmm.
only thing that we have now is that he came back for
Yeah.
that reason. Did everybody, was everybody sent back for that reason? Because our thing is, like I'll just do a little bit of spoilers right here.
Come
The
on.
big reveal at the end of the first season is that of the original series, and five, four, three, two, one, is that all of the 4400 are brought back. They weren't abducted by aliens; they were abducted by people in the future, and they were brought back or seeded
Hmm.
back into our timeline to help prevent a major catastrophe, which essentially turns the Earth into this unlivable wasteland,
Yeah.
like just like climate change times World War III or whatever.
Hmm.
They're sent back with these abilities to prevent that from happening. So, are we going the same route as the original one? Where the suggestion is now is that based on, see, the only reason that the 40 forum was created was because of the return of the 4400.
Yes.
It wasn't because of a separate event, and so
Right.
that's my thing right now.
Hmm.
If they say that the only reason the 4400 were brought back because of this attack that happens at Bellagio Bel Air,
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
they created that they
Yes.
created that time
Yes.
loop.
Yes.
So my there has to be another reason, because right now Manny said, oh, I just came back to train these motherfuckers. I was like, Manny, what else is in the future? And he's just like, that shit. Like,
And
why would
why
you
are
say?
there not more offensive power? Why does Hayden exist? If you came from the future to train people, why does Hayden? Why is he able to see the
Yeah.
future but not see? It's, you haven't been training, Charles Xavier. You have not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was like stepping out. I mean, you put together a more effective plan than it was like, why was he going out and taking out government officials? Like, if he was just straight murdering people, like if he's the true villain, it's I understand building the defense, but I want to, if is it a larger story? Because
Yeah.
like I can understand him saying like, the wrong, political, whatever
Yeah.
governing power, people have gone to power, and they push the world in
Hmm.
such a way where if you ain't if you're the other, then they came
Hmm.
down on you. And then
Yeah.
maybe like if they build it out to like, okay, and then there were a group of scientists who were like, let's get a group of people throughout time, send them back
Hmm.
and have them prevent the rise of this group. But if it's just focused on the 40 forum, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
That's going to be an issue, because there's a larger story that you can tell with why they were sent back, because there's a lot
Hmm.
of shit that we can focus on, from climate
Yes.
change to the
Yes.
rise of racism, homophobia,
Hmm.
a lot of stuff, world
Hmm.
hunger. And that was one of the things that I always felt did work with the original series,
Yeah.
like the Nova group.
Oh
They went
yes,
they
bro.
banned. Oh
Yes.
my god,
I
there's
forgot about them. Yes.
I gotta stop talking about this shit, because like
Yay.
it's so anyways, but it gives me hope that if they come back for a second or third, second season, they
Hmm.
can kind of build from that. But
Yes.
yeah, generally speaking, I'm finding myself with these big reveals or like these cliffhangers. I'm kind of, I'm not feeling it. I'm not vibing
Hmm.
um, with it. So that's just me.
No, I'm
Um,
with you. That because, like you said, there's so many directions that this show could take, even if you do not follow the blueprint of the first series,
yeah.
just by the um, different issues that we're dealing with today. Like you say, climate change, racism, homophobia, marginalized people.
Hmm. Yeah.
Even the Flint water crisis. If we're looking at that,
Yep.
just take out water
Hmm.
being tainted. What does this
Yep.
world look like? Like if we're going to be sci-fi, let's lean heavy
Heavy
into the
into it.
sci-fi. Like
Yep.
get as outlandish as you possibly can. If we talking about
Hmm.
iguana people and lizard people, go all out. And I think
Hmm.
that I don't want to say the show is playing it safe because I don't know what goes into creating a television show. But as a
Hmm.
consumer and artist, art is able to be critiqued. I feel like they are kind of. It feels like they're playing it safe, but it could just be
Hmm.
you got the first season, try to secure a second, then go all out.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm not a fan. really,
Hmm.
man, and honestly, Manny, to me, I mean, we mentioned it before. He's not the strongest actor, and
Hmm.
he's never the strongest actor in scenes with him. He's never the strongest. So that
Yeah.
kind of takes a lot of the wind out of these reviews, especially his.
Hmm.
What are you doing? You haven't trained anyone. You stabbed Claudette.
Yeah.
You've been invisible this whole time, which is I'm okay with. But why haven't you been murdering people if you're invisible?
Right. Like, I mean, and I know that sounds like horrible for us to say, but look at the
Shoot.
history of the Invisible Man. Like the
Yes.
Invisible Man, just like he took this, like you could
Yes.
really lean into that, like
Mhm.
the horror story of that. I mean, Jessica could come into work and be like, the head of the 4400 task force was like
Mhm.
dropped
Murder.
from a building, like we were
Yes.
just some shit like that, like him hiding in this room and then only stepping out on the weekends to teach people under a bridge was not that's just not working for me. And I
Yeah.
and it's going to be a massive it's going to be a lot it's going to be massive information dumps all over the place.
Oh, for sure.
And
For
yet
sure.
in the next episode, and I don't know necessarily. I mean, sometimes with the conclusion is just always that it's just like
Mhm.
you're wrapping up your big revelations, and but
Yeah.
we'll just see how they're presented, and if it seemed like this is the direction that we were heading in, you
Yeah.
know.
Mm.
So I don't know, but
Good
yeah,
luck.
for me that was like my main point as far
Mhm.
as like apparently not caring anymore. No, they
Yeah.
like I just in my big reveal I don't care. It's like my
Mhm.
it's weird notes. So you want to get into the favorites, least
Yeah.
favorites, or
Come on.
okay? So who's your favorite?
Shit, Claudette. Cause like who
Claudette.
else is there?
Yeah.
Claudette
For
and her bat.
for me, it's a toss up between Andre and Caleb.
Okay.
Actually, like I said, minus the fake beard, I actually the actor who played
Mhm.
or Sean let me see, Patrick John Fluger.
Mhm. Yep. That sounds about
He
right.
I actually liked him in that role, and I think Andre had a did good.
Yeah.
Who was your least favorite?
Honestly, everybody.
Wow, God,
No, no, I just like Steve. What are you doing?
yeah.
Um, I can't even really go with Millicent because she was making some points to me.
Hmm.
I'd probably go with Steve. No, nope,
Okay,
Hayden. Nope, I'm going with Hayden.
okay,
Yeah, that to me he did worse than Steve. Like I'm going
yeah.
with Hayden. Yep.
Probably Manny for me.
Okay.
Because there's this one line where man he wasn't handcuffed yet, and Keisha was walking out with the bag with the murder weapon, and he
Yeah,
appears. He was like, "You better come back here with that bag," and I was just like, "What the fuck? Would you just rush her?"
you
It's
could have
just
taken it. Like,
right?
what was she gonna do? What was she gonna do?
Yes. Yeah, like you could push her, disappear, get the bag, and then it'd just be a bag running through the hallway,
And put on your
unless it
jacket, cause then
yeah,
we
unless it
really can.
disappeared. Yeah, like it was just like that small moment. I was just like, what? No, you don't talk shit. It's like there's the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Hmm.
There's this line where the guy who plays the ugly, and I'm trying to remember what he says. He says, "Just shoot." Like somebody walks in talking shit, and he just shoots him. He's like, "Just shoot." He stopped
Yeah,
talking, just shoot. Like
yeah,
just snatch the bag and run. So I mean, he just wasn't working for me. And
yeah,
the big reveal was just like, what was your
yeah.
favorite scene?
Claudette with that bat. Cause
Okay.
I did not expect that. I really thought I didn't think they was gonna fight, but when she was, they was like, "Oh, we gonna whoop your ass." She's like, "Oh, here,
Yeah.
like I'm ready." So Claudette with that bat. I'm sorry. Yeah.
For me, I think it was the first. Well, no, the scene between Shanice and Andre, where they
Mm,
were, they were talking, and it just, that one worked for me.
yeah. Hmm.
Um, so I guess in this one, how many, how many twines of purple rope
Ugh.
or how many purple twine wristbands do you rate this episode?
Uh, I'm actually, I'm feeling a little. I would go with. I'm going to give it a solid 7. Though my critiques still stand. I feel like with this being a two-parter, I think I'm riding high off what's next. So I'm
Yeah.
actually going to give it a seven. I am.
Okay.
was 6.7.
For me, it's between 5.5 and a six.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I'm just kind of I'm 5.5 and six.
Yeah.
Um, it just yeah yep, that's kind of where I am. So I
Oh
was like, I
shoot.
can't even talk it out.
Yeah.
But and it's funny because on this this week, it's a 7.7 out of 10. It's out of like 22 reviews.
Right.
So um yeah, so it's yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm
Hmm.
definitely ready to see how everything wraps up. So
Yeah.
how everything
Yeah.
goes.
Same. We gonna see, man. I'm like I said. This final episode is going to tell me, eh, am I recommending this show or not? Because
Okay.
yeah, this is how you gonna end this. And I
Yeah.
am managing my expectations. I don't
Hmm.
expect, Umbrella Academy season 2 opening scene. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
expect. It would be great if we could get
Yeah.
that. I don't even expect Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2 battle
Yeah.
scene. But
Yeah.
I'm managing my expectations, and but I still want something good.
Okay.
So
Cool,
yeah,
man.
that's
Cool.
that.
Cool. Cool.
Woo, bruh, this was a ride. We almost at the
Yep.
end.
Almost
How
at
you
the end,
feeling?
yo.
How you feeling? Final thoughts or predictions,
Um,
feelings?
we get to the end of the road, and I'm interested to see where it leads.
Yeah,
So that's the most diplomatic thing I can say right now. So,
yeah, yeah.
mhm,
Well, I mean, life is life. Listeners, let us know how y'all feel. Penultimate episode, one
mhm.
more to go. Yeah. Live
Yep.
tweet with me. Monday, I'm gonna be talking my ish. I'm gonna be ready.
Yeah, there you
Yes.
go.
So if you follow me on Twitter and you don't want to hear 4400, you need to mute 4400 because I'm gonna be going crazy. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Well, we'll let these folks know where they can find you and support you
Mhm.
and all that good stuff.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at robertk.jeffrey. That's robertk.jeffrey. And also, check out blacksci-fi.com.
Yes, yes. Those links will be in the show notes. Me, Carefree Blurred on Twitter, the most immediate way to get in touch with me. Carefree Black Nerd on Instagram. If you have to email, carefreeblacknerd@gmail.com. Check us back here next week. Check out the YouTube. Check out the links. BYNK. Shout out to y'all. Yeah, till next time, stay carefree, nerdy, geeky, and stay a member of a cult. Stay in the cult. Stay in the cult and call your mom. No,
There you go.
well, shit, this is it. All right, y'all.
Yeah, have a good